Hello, everybody. Good morning. There's snow in Vegas, which is a little bit odd, but it does happen here. I'm in my car and had a few thoughts I wanted to put across. First of all, is that normally I'm fairly funny and easygoing. My friends can testify to that. I'm usually not super serious and boring like I sound in some of these videos, but I'm talking about a serious subject and I don't exactly know how to make it funny yet. I mean, we'll get to that maybe down the road. But for now, here's the deal that I'm trying to get across in these videos is that it has come to my attention that what the Bible is about is not Christianity. Now, I know that everybody wants to say that they have the new thing. They want to be contrarian and I know what's up and everybody else doesn't. And it's super cool to, I'm going to say that the Bible's not Christian. But what I'm doing in these videos by being serious and not being funny is trying to prove that to you all. And that means the linchpin of it all is that Jesus is not teaching Christianity or a new religion or something that is an in-out group or something that is divorced from his Jewish roots. He is teaching the law of Moses, the old covenant from the Old Testament, which in Galatians 4:4, Paul says Jesus was born of a woman, born under the law. Now, it would be super weird if every single person in the world is born under the law. Why would you say such a redundant and obvious statement? That's like saying it's raining today and if everybody goes outside, they'll get wet. Well, of course they'll get wet. It's raining. There's no need to say you'll get wet in rain. Rain is water. You'll get wet. Paul says Jesus was born under the law, not because he's being obvious and redundant, but because some people were born under the law and others weren't. Who's born under the law? The Hebrews. Who's not born under the law? All Gentiles. Everybody who's not a Hebrew. Okay. Jesus is a rabbi in his time teaching the law of Moses. In so doing, teaching the law of Moses that the Hebrew people were commanded to follow for thousands of years. In so doing of teaching it, he is showing how, number one, it's impossible to follow. Number two, nobody is accomplishing it. Number three, a corrupt power structure of Pharisees leadership in Jesus' society thinks that they're following it, but they're not really. They're being hypocrites. They know they're being hypocrites. Jesus is calling them out on behalf of the underdog, the people. They are benefiting from the way they are interpreting the law in a, excuse my expression, bastardized version of the law that God never intended. Now, what does this mean for Christianity? Well, Christianity is built around the teachings of Jesus, that we're supposed to follow the teachings of Jesus. But the problem is that Jesus is teaching the law for 85 or so % of his teaching. So what does that mean? That means that Christianity has been inaccurate in what the biblical writers were trying to get across. And how does that play out? Here's a concrete example. I went to a church meeting last week to visit, since I'm kind of new to Vegas. And in the guy's sermon, he talked about I hate this term, where Jesus was teaching in the so-called Sermon on the Mount. It's not a sermon. He probably wasn't on a mount. It's a throwback to Sinai, Mount Sinai, where Moses gave the law. I believe Luke calls it the Sermon on the Plain. So that it's neither here nor there. Matthew was trying to bring in Old Testament imagery. Okay. Luke, not being Jewish, probably wasn't trying to do callbacks to Old Testament imagery. All right, so here's the thing. there's a particular section on the so-called Sermon on the Mount where Jesus says, don't worry about what you're going to wear in your clothes and all this stuff, because Jesus cares for the birds and the beetles in the field or whatever it is. And if he takes care of them, he'll take care of you. So don't worry. Now, I listened to this guy's sermon in church last week, and everything he said sounded awesome. And you're like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't worry. And this is, and man, but I'm sitting there thinking, okay, how does this relate to Jesus teaching the law, and kind of going back and forth in my head. And then at the end, now I got to say this first. The law was conditional. In Deuteronomy 28, God said, if you follow the law, I will bless you. If you don't, you'll get curses. That is the old covenant. That is not the new covenant that is expressed from Acts to Revelation in the New Testament. That is old covenant way of thinking. And now, how does it bleed over into Christianity if we think Jesus is talking to us as so-called Christians? Because the law condition is an if-then. If you follow the law, I will do this for you. That is God speaking to the Hebrews under the law. Now, literally at the end of this guy's talk, his wrap-up sentence was, so now we can see that if we don't worry and we trust in God, then we will have peace, and, God will shine on us in a way, like if we don't worry and rest in God, and et cetera, et cetera. And now the problem is, the red flag should be to any of us as it was to me, and I almost just let it pass over until I caught it a little bit later as he went on to the next sentence. But he said, if then, if we don't worry, as Jesus is telling us, then God will do his part, XYZ. That is old covenant conditional reasoning. Now, if you ever hear in church or anybody say an if-then statement pertaining to anything that God is going to do that we need to do, then God will do this. If we do this, then God will do that. That is old covenant straight up. The new covenant is completely unconditional, completely from backwards to forwards. I can do a talk on that in the future if you like, if anybody's still listening to this as I drone on. There is concrete evidence in the New Testament all over the place that God does everything for us that needs to be done, and it's not dependent on our actions, our motivation, our energy, our obedience. It's not dependent on any of that. God decided to take care of everything, and that is the good news. And that is not how people view Christianity or live Christianity or teach Christianity. So that's how I wrap us all the way back to the beginning, if you're still with me, and say that is why what the Bible says is not Christianity, and we have to grapple with this as humanity right now on earth. Okay, that was heavy. It's serious. I don't know how to make it funny. I wish I did. I might be able to in the future. It would probably help if I could find someone else who would like to do these videos with me, and it's not just me talking into space. So if you made it through this, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.